I forgot I had to set it all up. My goodness. So it's scrambling. Gotta use XSplit. You gotta change everything over when you got a new channel. Okay, how many people do we got here? 25. That's okay. I wish it was 10, but... Hey, Nathan. Hey, Dolly. I haven't seen your name here in a while. Were you on the other channel just previously? So, what did I want to talk about? I was on... I thought it ended very well, but I was on Jay Bundy's channel 2 days ago. And they were talking smack about me for making those videos I made. And so then he invited me to come on, and so after trying to figure out how his system works, I got on. And we had a really interesting conversation. So I'll play it here just in case. Yeah, I'll play it here and then make some comments as we go and give you my thoughts on it.
Right. And so that
every time I see it,
As he's in here,
no, it's probably the real time.
it's probably calling in finally.
There we go.
All right, no worries. All right, Doug, what say you? I don't want to. I'll give you a chance to speak up. And thanks for calling in finally. Sorry that this is what it took, but we're glad we finally got Doug to call in. Everybody.
What do I want to say? I don't know. Like it's what's a person's guide? Like, is he here? Or did he leave?
Who?
Oh yeah, I didn't play that, but actually maybe I should. I don't know if I can find it quickly enough. But there's a guy who was in there and says, "Oh, if Doug's coming on, I don't want to be here. I don't want to talk to him," or something like that. And I get that. In fact, it was Spartan Theology said that once to me. And it's like, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with Doug." So then I said, okay, if that's your wish, I will block you. And that way you don't have to see anything I say. You don't have to worry about me and other channels. You know, you don't have to see me. I'm basically a ghost to you. But then I think he wants to see me again. It's funny. But anyhow, yeah, isn't that interesting? That a person's guy?
Apperson. Yeah, he
Apperson?
left. Yeah, he left.
Yeah, like to me, that's indicative of a problem, right? Like, let's say he views me as an enemy, a bad guy, a racist, whatever. Why won't he talk to me?
Maybe just why would you say that that's bad? I mean, you block people.
Like,
there are people you've decided you don't want to talk to.
That's true. He can, but I heard him before he left say, "I specifically don't want to talk to Doug." Why not?
Because I don't think he thinks there's to him there's a lower probability that this is a productive conversation than for myself or my one black friend.
That's one explanation.
well, I think he clearly has his own ideas about what he values.
Nathan says, in my opinion, that's just signaling. I agree 100%, Nathan. I think when people, like, if there is a passion there, or like this guy Apperson, is that how you say his name? Apperson? He was talking smack about me quite a bit. And then when I come on to, talk, gone. I'll just be honest. To me, that's a weak man, a very weak man.
And
how do I get my face up there? Like I can see you guys, but can you see me?
I see you. But
To be simpler, Doug, I think I consider myself a former fan and a big one, and my one black friend is probably in that same boat, at least definitely a fan.
By the way, for the SC people, if there's any SC people here, this little clip, I think it's about 20 minutes long, maybe half an hour. There's some really interesting stuff you can learn as an SCer here, I think.
And I don't think James ever was, so it probably means
not for me
less to him on an interpersonal level, yeah.
Okay, well, that doesn't matter, but I guess I'll just say as an intro, I'm a Canadian citizen, U.S. resident. I don't vote. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch any right-wing media. The reason why I said all this is because people were just assuming so much about me, which is untrue. And I actually the other day heard, what's his name, Sean, who was on my channel, talk smack about my wife. Oh, she probably looks down upon African Americans and stuff. I mean, just really uncalled for stuff.
But that's okay. They got the right to say that. But then I would like to talk to them. Sean, if you're listening, come on in.
I like to think I'm fairly balanced, but I do lean right because of the way I've raised on a farm. What else? I made those videos purposely to get the reaction I'm seeing today.
And it worked.
And but what I think is useful about the videos I made and getting the reactions I'm seeing today is that it demonstrates who is likely to actually engage in conversation and who isn't.
Yep.
So I know some people might think I'm a terrible racist, but look, I'm talking, whereas a guy like a person, whatever his name was, left, right? And Jay, I'm glad you're talking to me today.
And in my opinion, and I could be wrong about this, but you go to college campuses across the United States, and there's this general idea that conservatives would be more likely to welcome a liberal point of view during one of their club meetings or whatever than the vice versa. Am I wrong about that? I don't think so. I think this is a problem.
But the other day with, what channel was that? Oh, Nitty's channel. For example, you brought up the trans issue, and I said, well, let's talk about it. You remember? I said, let's talk about it. And you said, no, don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, because I didn't want to talk about that, right? You used that as a tactic.
No, you said, okay, was it that you didn't want to talk about that, or you didn't want to talk to me?
No, it was that I wanted to talk. I honestly wasn't really, I was trying to call out the fact that for some reason.
Oh yeah, not only do I not watch Fox News and all these other right-wing channels, I entered the United States about 20 years ago as a poor Canadian immigrant. I just break so many stereotypes for them.
You get to say these things. You get to play out of this playbook.
Oh, what do you mean by poor, Doug?
It's very clear where you're coming from. You said it. You said it. Oh, you've said it in your own words a million times. You said it today. I made it to get this reaction out of people.
Yes.
Now, right. I don't think that that's a good thing to do. I think it's a terrible thing to do. And I don't even think it's useful. We totally fundamentally disagree about whether or not that's even a valuable thing to do. I argue it's an anti-value thing to do.
Okay, and
I think you are kicking people when they're down. And so
kicking people when they're down.
Jay, I got it.
Fine, you might disagree, but my point was, what I didn't like is the fact that Tux and Nitty and the panel you were on were basically trying to communicate this to you, and I give them credit for that. I give them credit for
communicate what?
But they were kind of trying to tell you that, Doug, I think we understand why, people had that reaction, and I think they were trying to, as best that they could, communicate to you what the problem was.
Yeah, I totally understand why people have that reaction.
So. Right. So then I think that the issue that I was kind of frustrated with is like, why are we even, and I guess I'm guilty of doing the same thing right now, like, why are we giving you the time of day? Because for the most part,
why are we, if you notice throughout this conversation, for Jay, it's like he wants people to dislike me now. He wants, if you're on Team Doug, leave Team Doug and come on my team because Doug's a bad person. I think that's why he's upset for even guys, my poker buddies actually, hanging out with me. It's like, don't you realize that Doug is so out of our team that you shouldn't even associate with him? And you'll see this later when my one black friend goes on. He says, I need you to see what I'm seeing so you can alienate him like I am. See, and Again, I could be totally wrong about this, but I perceive this coming more from the left than the right, this type of attitude. Because I know a lot of people on the right, they actually welcome the left coming on and talking with them because they think they can make them look a fool. But with the left, it's more, not always, but with the left, it's more like, no, you are a bad person. We can't even associate with you.
Interact with right-wing apologists, it's sort of can we get through? It's like, can we get through?
Hey Nathan, I've actually already applied for citizenship, so the process has started.
This person or not, right?
That whole phraseology. Can we get through to this person or not? Like.
Yeah. Now, usually, like I've said that being condescending to me doesn't work. But you can see that is condescension there, right? We need to somehow get through to Doug. Like, even if Jay's right about everything and I'm wrong about everything, that's not how you go about it. Now, he could say the same to me about the triggering part, but my goal for the triggering part was very successful. And it was to prove the point. It was to create videos like this that you're about to see.
sure, there's going to be things in my life that someone might need to get through to me, but maybe there's things in your life that someone will need to get through to you. This is why, partly for the reason why I did what I did, because it forces people to talk about uncomfortable things, to sit down and have conversations. And my point was, and it's been, if I do say myself, brilliantly demonstrated.
Don't think so. Totally disagree.
That when
Let him finish.
that when someone is emotional, it leads them to walk away and leave the conversation. We've seen that. I saw that with you, and I saw that with this person's guy, whatever. And so I think all three of us are agreed we don't want that. Are we agreed?
Not necessarily. No, not really. Because
Okay,
to be honest with you,
Hey Nathan, I'm curious. Have you seen this before?
some of the stuff.
Yeah, I'll be happy to comment on this. I do feel what is lacking in our society is people being civil with each other and continuing the conversation with the goal of understanding the other side. I think that is the greater thing to do. Let me understand this person and not focus so much.
No, a lot of people might say, well, Doug, if you're agreeing, then why did you make that video? To make the point that certain people seem like they want to flee the conversation. And I got so many videos of me talking to people I strongly disagree with. So I got a history, I got a record of doing exactly what I'm agreeing with my one black friend on here. Oh, you haven't seen this yet? You're in for a treat, Nathan. You're in for a treat if you haven't seen
so
this.
much on them understanding me, unless I'm miscommunicating my message. So, Doug, I think you have a responsibility, and maybe you didn't understand it this way. Maybe you did. You can tell me. When you made the point in one of your videos from Thursday, I believe it was, that 50% of the people committing the murders in those cities were black people. Did you happen to comment on who the other 50% were? I didn't watch the whole video. I don't know. Maybe you did.
No, he never mentions any other. No, I'm just going to call it what it is. I'm going to let him answer, but I need him to understand this. Doug, you never call out any other demographic color-wise, ever.
That's not true.
That's untrue.
Oh, I just said that.
No, so Pine Creek, I want to hear your
I've
thoughts.
talked about Asians on my channel.
I understand. Jay has.
Answer your questions. The answer is no.
I've talked about Muslims on my channel.
Okay, and why wouldn't? Did you
But that's
think
not a race.
that was important, or no, it's not important?
Because in the context of the conversation, we were talking about where the murders are committed and who they vote for.
Right, but you showed the county. Pocket Locker brought this up in our broadcast.
Yes, I already know your question. I already know your question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, your question is why did you say city and then show counties? Because when you look at the percent who voted for Trump or Biden,
it's not true. It's correct. I in my mind when I said well, that's true, the other 50% are white. I think I just made it simple because I think in Jay's mind, if you're not black, you're white, or he was lumping people of color with people not of color. So I just said yes. But if you're being detailed about it, 50% it's actually 52% of the murders in this country are committed by people with dark skin shades. And then you got something like 40% committed by people that look like me. And then you got probably the rest, Hispanics, Asians, whatever, Native American.
You cannot get city data. You can only get county data. Now, so yes, there's a problem there. However, when I looked at it,
maybe just admit the data is
Wait,
there.
Pocket Locker, please. I'm trying to hear him, please.
Like if my one black friend, this guy here, wasn't here, there would be no way I could get a word in edgewise, I don't think.
And so, but the majority of the population within each of those counties is indeed the city. So it's a good representation of the city when you use the county data. Does that make sense?
Okay, so that's fine. But the other 50%, Doug, who do you think makes up that group of people?
White?
Yeah,
White
right
people.
here.
Okay, so if you wanted to make your point the best possible way, wouldn't it be to include who the other 50% is?
Fairness.
Because if you don't, to a certain number of people who have their brain turned on, you appear to be skewing the data.
What was the very first part? I missed the very first part of your sentence when you first started to speak right just now. If you wanted to, what? Or something like that?
If you wanted to, forgive me, I don't know exactly precisely what I said, so I'm going to just start over.
Okay.
My question to you is, if you want to show the best light, shine the best light, this flashlight. You want to shine the best light on the problem. Isn't it important to show who that other half of the people are?
But you're assuming a goal, right? My goal wasn't that. My goal was to make people like Jay go up in arms and yell and stomp around.
Even if you hate me, you got to appreciate the honesty, right? I'm saying that wasn't my goal to shine the best light possible. My goal was to make people like Jay go crazy. And it worked.
And show that that's not helpful.
Allow me to tell you that you are not helpful. What you're trying to provoke.
We're talking, are we?
Yeah. See, and this is the greater good argument thing. We're talking about these issues now, aren't we? So even though that goal was terrible, it ended up leading to conversations, not just this one, but in comment sections on those videos, which does shed a light on the problem. Now you can say, well, even that was unproductive, but who knows?
There you go.
Being offended. I think we can have this whole conversation about the same topic without anyone being offended.
The issue wasn't the topic, though, my one black friend. The issue really wasn't the topic. The issue was I just found something that I knew would trigger people and then see how they react.
But and then didn't you already know?
Now, what if?
No, well, but I wanted other people to see it with their own eyes as well. And if you notice that just today or yesterday, actually, I put out 2 videos to trigger the right.
Here's what you need to understand. Number one, I'm going to put out a couple of videos to trigger the right, and now I'm fair. I'm not going to pass. Let's just shut that down right there. Also,
why is that not fair?
Because it just isn't. That's not how this works.
Well, so I want to
again. Hang on, let me address this real quick.
I made 2 videos triggering the left, and then I asked the left to give me ideas for 2 videos to trigger the right, and I used them. Now, granted, murder is a big thing, but it's hard to find something equivalent. I guess rape. I guess I could, but nobody on the left suggested that. I don't think. But anyhow, yeah, that's not fair. 2 and 2 is not fair. If we're talking about going against the right, it has to be 90 to 10.
Why? The same reason your first video sucked. The one that Tuck said was brilliant. Yeah, I disagree. Don't think it was brilliant. Here's why. When people said that they didn't feel Trump was elected legitimately and they didn't feel like, he should have been president, what they were doing, and you know this, either that or you're really dumb, is that they were critiquing the fact of the Electoral College, which is a long-standing critique that people make all the time.
Well, except for the Harris one.
What do you mean except for the Harris one?
The Harris clip in there was about the Russian thing. That's why she said he was illegitimate.
Okay. Anyway, that conversation is around the fact that...
Yeah, so even though the left didn't storm the Capitol and do all this really bad stuff, the point is being that whether you're questioning the legitimacy of votes or the legitimacy of the electoral system, whatever, you're still, in a way, questioning the system, the democracy. And the left is doing that, and the right's doing that. That was the point. But ours not as bad. Okay, I'll give you whatever you want. It's not as bad. 0 deaths, let's say, from your side. You got it. Although that's questionable.
He was not elected based on the popular vote. And regardless of people's feelings of that, nevertheless, they accepted Trump's presidency. Everything went along, right? Now, on the flip side, right? So in other words, there's a valid critique, number one. And number two, they went along civilly anyway. Now, on the flip side, right? Now,
I agree.
Hang on. Now, on the flip side, we have a case where people are making the accusation that the election was stolen, but it wasn't. In neither, in not in that same context, in neither regard, it wasn't. Matter of fact, and we know that. And then and then number two, those people did not go along with the peaceful transfer. There literally was an insurrection. So
I agree.
Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, there was insurrection, but I'll stand by what I said. That insurrection on January 6th is nothing compared to what this nation has been through in history. I dare anyone to disagree with that. You really want to compare that, what happened on January 6th, to World War I, World War II, the Civil War, where people actually, like, brother against brother, and really? Cold War, even though not a shot fired, the fear in people for decades, or at least many years, with drills hiding under their desks, thinking that this could be the last day and then tomorrow you could be fried. The whole country could be fried in a nuclear war. You really think so? Like, once you put perspective on things, I always do this when I have some health concerns right now. But whenever I get upset about it, I think about my sister and what she went through. I go, this is nothing compared to what my sister went through. And for all you left-wingers out there who cry January 6th like crazy, tell yourself this. It was nothing compared to, and then fill in the blank. Pearl Harbor even. Nothing. But they're a democracy. Yeah, I'm talking about your democracy. Nothing compared to. The thing is, even though I feel resistance from people on the left when I say that, I bet you anything deep down they agree with it. They just think, but that doesn't take away from how bad that was. Okay, fine. But let's get some perspective here. I guess once you get older and you realize that most of the fear that you have in your life is irrational, you see this time and time again. You kind of like, okay, should I really be scared about this?
Then here's what you don't seem to understand. There's a chance at which you then making a video that equates those things is irresponsible because you already know that you're implying something that isn't true.
But this is where I
Implying something that wasn't true?
disagree, because you're now assuming that I'm equating.
Again, this is where I'm doing you the privilege of sharing my opinion with you. And I already know.
I'm doing you a privilege of sharing my opinion with you. Jay's saying, you should be grateful I'm sharing my opinion.
You don't agree. So let's just table that, because I pretty much wouldn't be here if I thought there was any chance that you were going to agree with me. What I'm trying to get you to understand is why your lack of agreement is relevant.
Well, no, did you hear just previously I agreed with you like 3 times?
Yeah.
And then on this one thing I disagreed. So there are things that I agree with you and disagree with you both, right?
But the thing is, you're only agreeing with me on the facts, which you're not understanding.
Yes, those are the most important things to agree on.
Okay, you guys hear that? But you're only agreeing with me on the facts. So this is very interesting to me, because on that video on my channel about all the stats and everything, and I don't know how hardcore Jay would be on this, but he's not disagreeing with me on the facts. He's disagreeing with me, I think, as you will see, that I talked about the facts.
That's again where we're disagreeing. Because what you're doing is on the facts, which you're not understanding.
Yes, those are the most important things to agree on.
No, see, that's again where we're disagreeing. Because what you're doing is inhumane, and you're not understanding that. So here's the thing: I could stab you in the neck right now, and you'd start bleeding. Correct? Now, if I did that and I said, "Hey, I just wanted to do that to prove that when I stab somebody, they will bleed, and then that bleeding will cause them to have a medical emergency." Now, I would never do that. Most people would never do that. But what you do is you do this thing where you say, I'm going to say hurtful things to people with the expressed intent of hurting them.
Yes.
And then you somehow act like they're the problem when they are in fact hurt by your hurtful behavior, just because you wouldn't find that particular behavior hurtful. Hang on, I'm not even done with the claim yet. And then on top of that, you throw marginalized people under the bus when you do it. So you don't just do it to anybody. You do it to our most vulnerable people. And now you can talk.
I would say it's best to not make a point too long. Deal with your...
Nah, he can handle it. He's a big boy.
But you have people listening that aren't you, and they aren't Pine Creek. So please, if you're going to make a point, keep it on the shorter side. So
this is why I just love my one black friend, this guy here. He's so diplomatic. He'd be a great moderator in a real debate.
Respond. And then,
okay, you're an asshole because of the facts that you bring up, not because the facts aren't true.
Whoa.
Okay, I need the people on the left to really hear this. Okay, Because it's not about, and this is for the street epistemology people too, because this is a great example. This demonstrates what Peter Boghossian said in his first book as being absolutely true. That when you're talking about epistemology, that oftentimes is not about the facts, it's about something else. And Jay demonstrates this very clearly, that Jay's not disagreeing with the facts I brought up. He's disagreeing that I brought it up.
Keep it on the shorter side so he can respond. And then, I think that's
you're an asshole because of the facts that you bring up, not because the facts aren't true.
Whoa.
There it is. I made it concise in case they can
he can
follow
speak
along.
for himself. You ask him a question. I don't even know if he remembers it all. But if he does,
That's why, I just gave you the concise version. You're an asshole because of the facts you bring up, not because the facts aren't true. How much more? I'm simply stating my case. I know you don't like the language, but that's how I feel. I'm not representing my one black friend. My personal opinion is if you need a concise version of what I have to say, let me make it very concise for you. You're an asshole because of the facts you choose to bring up, not that they're not factual. I'm making it concise. I'm trying to make everybody happy. I'll just shut up from now on. I just won't talk.
Okay, so my response to that about hurting people with my words and like the videos I make, I think everybody here would agree that I make videos that hurt a lot of Christians. Like I say things purposely sometimes, not all the time, that really deeply hurts the most intimate relationship a Christian could have, and that's with their Savior and Lord Jesus Christ. And I say things like, he's dead, he doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, and to this point, like Nathan's here. Talk about hurting people. Jay mentions, stabbing someone on the side, real pain. I made Nathan physically ill for 3 days, he told me, or something like that. So it's not just the feelings of sadness. You're making me doubt Jesus. It's like, you're making me doubt Jesus to such the point I feel physically ill.
This is a figment of your imagination. Yahweh is a douchebag. I've said these things over and over again. I've hurt them. I know I have, and I continue to do it. That's point number one. Point number two is you can have two people hear the exact same things coming out of my mouth. Let's say they're even two African Americans, Jay. And one be deeply offended and call me an a-hole like you did. The other one just say, I kind of see what Doug's getting at. He is making a point that...
Hey, Hillary's emails, be very careful if you use quotations. I'm a little bit anal about this. Why did I use the word anal? If you're going to quote someone, you better make sure that's exact quote. If not, I would delete that. Because I'm not sure Jay said, you're an a-hole for telling the truth, Doug. I think that's a paraphrase of what he said, but not exactly what he said. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. If that's a direct quote, okay, then leave it up.
Maybe you need to calm down and not let these emotions overtake you so we can actually come together and solve some of these problems, like murder in big cities.
Please tell me. Wait, hang on. You're missing my one black friend's point.
I'm almost done.
Okay, go ahead.
So and then let me speak for myself, and you can follow up if I missed something. Pine Creek, please.
So to sum it up, I asked myself, what is the difference between those two African Americans? One like you, Jay, and one like you, my one black friend, who can actually hear things, and you both could disagree with me equally as much. My one black friend is sitting there calm.
Now, a lot of people in the live stream chat, when I did this, they did not like, because they view this as me pitting one African American against another, but it can apply to any skin tone, any skin color. You have two people, they can hear the exact same thing. Now, in this case, both Jay and my one black friend, I believe, are both African Americans. And I guarantee you that their reactions are way different. And Jay is more like, you're not on my team. I don't even want to talk to you about this. He said on previous streams. But my one black friend is completely different. So this is the point of why I did those political videos. The point is, if you find yourself easily triggered, you can actually work your way up, and I'll use the word up. You can work your way up to being more like my one black friend here. You can do it. Now, and I will take a pill of my own medicine here. I can work my way up to being more sensitive to people's feelings. Believe it or not, I'm a lot better than I used to be. But who cares about improvement, right? Anyhow.
And listening to me, whereas you, Jay, you fly off the handle. And if my one black friend wasn't here right now, I would probably be gone by now because you would either have booted me or just it'd be just a swear fest.
Okay, we're different people. Continue.
Wait,
Go ahead.
wait.
I just said we're different people. That's all I wanted to say because I don't think that was a good point. We're just
we're different people. Yes, everybody's different. I'll grant that. But you can have some people who are really good runners in life, marathon runners. You can almost view it as they were born to run. They got the genetics, the build, whatever. They were born to run. They were raised in a high altitude, got the lung capacity. And then you got some really fat, stout people. They weren't born to run. But you know what? They can take steps to improve their running. So just like someone could say to me, Doug, take steps to be more sensitive to other people's feelings. Yes. In the same token, Jay, take steps to hear things that you disagree with and not fly off the handle and start calling people a-holes and saying, no, I don't want to even have a conversation with you. I don't want to talk to you about this. I'm done talking to you about this. You know, that type of rhetoric. But I will admit this, and this is where my bias is. This is my bias. I do think it's better, if you're going to lean on one side or the other, to be more like my one black friend than be like Jay. Because I honestly believe, and someone can demonstrate to me this otherwise, but that it is really difficult, not impossible, but it's difficult to make rational decisions when you're in a state of high emotion. Whether it be fear, love, any exaggerated state of high emotion, how in the world can you use your level 2 thinking and reason through things? So if you were to err in life towards being more dead inside or more emotional inside, sure, we might miss out on the Taylor Swifts of the world. But we might have a better world. Sorry, Taylor Swift.
it's different people. Go ahead.
Pine Creek, do you have more to say on
this guy's dumb
right now?
No, that about sums it up.
That sums it up. Okay, I want to address my remarks to you.
Boy, this guy's dumb. That was Jay's comment. Later on, he says that he has training in how to talk to people about racial issues or something. Is this part of your training, calling people a-holes and dumb? Like I say I'm dead inside, but there's times, you guys seen me on my channel. I've flown off the handle. I've called, what was his name? A long time ago, I just outright looked at the guy and said, you're an idiot. And I said it not in a joking way with my usual smirk and smile. It was like, I'm serious. You are a dunce. You've seen me do this. So yeah, I'm guilty of it as well. But the goal would be like, if you want to have a productive conversation, that's probably not the way to go about it. And again, the videos I made the purpose wasn't for a productive conversation. The purpose was to trigger people so they can see that in themselves.
We can agree that there's always going to be a spectrum of reactions. We can agree that not every opportunity is used to its fullest. And I think in the video about the crime, gun violence, I think that, or murder rate, I don't know that it's specifically gun violence. And the video about the Republican reactions, but with the Democrats' interviews, I think to some degree, what you could have done, and you can still do this, you now can go back and produce those same videos, but juxtapose. Yes, 50% roughly of the murderers are black. Yes, roughly 50% of the murderers are white. Imagine if you put that video out there where you show, right? Look, folks, the problem is on all sides. It's not just one group doing it.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying.
Allow me to just make, and believe me, I want to hear what you got to say. I did say that Jay could talk after, but I definitely want to come back to you. Okay, I want that to be clear. I want your remarks. Your video about the January 6th crowd. I would encourage you to take this. Don't change any audio at all, but now put the Republicans talking about fighting I disagree. I disagree with that language. It's the same video. You get them saying it, and you realize, wait a second, maybe one side misbehaved. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You can finally get those people who aren't thinking about their actions and the consequences and how it looks to think about it. Now, that's all I had to say. Thank you for hearing me. Pocket Walker, your comments, and then I'm going to bring it back to Pine Creek so he can comment.
I'll let Doug respond, and then I can.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I would say the majority of atheists are already Democrats, liberals, whatever you want to call them. And so
60%.
The point of, like, why would I do what you are asking of me if I want to bother those? Like, the whole goal was to bother a certain subset of people on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I can answer that.
And so that wouldn't be bothering them. That would be making them cheer and say, yay, good, we love you now, Doug. And I don't want them to love me. But anyhow, go ahead.
Well, and I don't know if you caught any of the other broadcasts we did just before this. The reason why I can make that suggestion to you is you anger both sides, not just one. You anger both sides. You offend both sides.
But if you look at my comment section, in fact, let me think about this. Because I do have a lot of conservatives watching my channel. A lot of the atheists who are lean conservative watch my channel. Almost all the Christians, not all, but almost all the Christians who watch my channel probably lean conservative. And my one black friend saying you're angry on both sides. No. Based on the comments I've seen on my other channel there, it's all come, like, all the vitriol. Well, I shouldn't say that, because people respond to the vitriol too in vitriol. So, but the initiation of having a problem with it, like, let's say they're not talking to anybody, but they're just like you. And I think the left agrees with me here. And I think I say this coming up. A lot of times the right just doesn't care what you think. So it's not going to bother them if someone makes a video against the right.
Okay, I'll respond to that too.
Please.
Yeah,
Hey, Nick.
I think this is a guess, but I think you really won't anger the right that much because they've seen it so many times.
Oh, Nick, I'm glad you're here, because when Jay and I were on your stream, like, the point of me doing this is almost like that street epistemology type thing. Remember when Jay came on your stream and I was there, and he said, you talked about trans and you talked about this, and I interrupted, hey, we can talk about that now. And he goes, no, I don't want to talk to you. And he just kept on his rant, and then he was left in 5 minutes. This is why I made the video I made, because this is my desire. My desire is for society to see that and say, that's not good. We do want to talk to people we disagree with. We do want to talk to racists. We do want to talk with murderers. We do want to talk with rapists and understand them to prevent the negative factors in society, right? But when you hear something you don't like and your thing is, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. You used to be my hero, but now I'm done with you. Like, you have that prerogative to do that, but if you desire for change in the world, I don't think you would do that. You wouldn't just say, okay, you're off my team. I have had enough. You're done. But my jam asks, what kind of things do people on the right get triggered by? Well, I would compare Jay to, let's say, a Trump, someone who's in love with Trump and thinks he's savior. So I think my answer would be, and I don't know how big, like the Christian nationalist types, whether they 10%, 15%, I don't know. You would say, I don't know, Trump's of the devil, not of God. Something like that. Maybe that would trigger them. Or that the United States is not a Christian nation, something like that. I'm sure you guys can think of a whole bunch of things that would trigger them.
But I have found very few videos on the internet like what I produced. There are some out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really do think that if I did exactly what you said, exactly the way you wanted, the people on the right would say, huh, who cares? The people on the left, though, we see the reaction we see.
I mean, I agree with that, but I still just think you're approaching all of this wrong. And I got to be honest, Doug, I think the big miss on you is that you're defending this. And again, the one thing my one black friend said is, yeah, sure, that's great if you're trying to have a conversation where we're going to sit down and all understand each other. And you're not that person.
I'm sorry,
that,
defending what?
Like you said, if we're gonna have this thing where we then all sit down and have this conversation where we're trying to understand each other, that was by your own.
But what am I defending?
The fact that you're defending the videos you made and this the sort of stance that you've taken.
Defending the videos I made.
Yeah, like rather than realizing it, like there's an opportunity.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand him, but I think I understand him now. Like defending that I made them in the first place. That and my defense is it was on purpose to get people triggered so they can actually self-reflect and say, why am I acting this way? Why am I so offended?
You say like, hey, I missed the boat here, or maybe I shouldn't have done this, right? But instead,
because you do know, Jay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you do know I do not think the election was stolen. You know that, right? That I do not
completely think that, but I understand that. But Doug, that's not the issue.
So there's nothing to defend.
No, I mean,
yeah,
I guess what I'm saying is
that was my fault. I didn't quite understand him, but I think we clear it up coming up soon.
When somebody does something in poor taste, fine. If you want to give them an opportunity to talk through it, fine. But if all they're going to continue to do is try to convince you that it was really in good taste and it was really for your own benefit and it was really great, then again, for me, it's like fine, but then the rest of us need to respond to you appropriately. And what I'm trying to get to is I don't think the rest of us are responding to you appropriately because I think you're making it.
What would be appropriate?
Oh, to treat you like somebody who's intentionally hurting people.
Like Christians?
Plain and simple. Again,
Doug, when I was doing with
again,
Christians.
Doug, this is different because Christianity's not.
Okay, you guys remember the video I did with that really smiley? There was a couple smiley guys. Oh, I gotta find it. And the guy who said, I asked him, why do you believe the Bible's God's word? And he said, well, because the Bible says so. And he said, I admit this is circular reasoning. And I asked him, would you allow other people who disagree with you from other religions use circular reasoning? And he said, no, because my religion's right. This sounds very similar to what Jay's saying right here. Take a listen.
Treat onto you that it was really in good taste and it was really for your own benefit and it was really great. Then again, for me, it's like fine, but then the rest of us need to respond to you appropriately. And what I'm trying to get to is I don't think the rest of us are responding to you approprially because I think you're making it.
What would be appropriate?
Oh, to treat you like somebody who's intentionally hurting people.
Like Christians?
Plain and simple.
Again, Doug, when I was doing with the Christians.
Doug, this is different because Christianity's not true. And I know that this is deliberately where you go.
No, we're talking about feelings. We're talking about feelings, not the reasons behind the feelings.
Again, yes, but Doug, I see. This is where you're.
Yeah, Dean, Doug Dean, thanks for asking. This was 2 days ago on Pocket Locker 86's live stream. So for those of you who want to this wasn't on my channel. So basically the context is I happened to notice that they were live streaming and talking smack about me. So tons of assumptions about me. Like, oh, you must listen to this, you must listen to that. No, you must be blah. He's upset that the wasn't a red wave. No, really don't care. I really don't care. And yeah, so then they invited me to come on. To their credit.
The problem.
Why is it you're more concerned about a certain group of people's feelings and not, let's say, the Christian feelings?
Honestly, because Christianity is a thing that demonstrably is not true. And the bad facts about Christianity have nothing to do with systematic prejudice and bias against Christianity. I get that they still have feelings, Doug, but number one, they're not considered a marginalized and oppressed group. Number two, when you go at Christianity, it is different. And that's the problem is that you are.
Yeah, and here's the thing, a marginalized and oppressed group. And I think I bring this up later, like Islam is by far a huge minority in the United States. I asked him about a black Muslim. If just the day before Ramadan, I make a video that makes Islam look foolish, incorrect, wrong. And I hurt that black Muslim. See, now, and it's coming up, but the reason why that's a great example is because now Jay is in a cognitive dissonance. I want to protect the marginalized group, but yet Islam is false. Which way do I lean now? Should I say be behind Doug on that one to try to get rid of Islam, or because it's a black Muslim, the oppressed group, I got to now say no, that's wrong?
Trying to equivocate on things that should not be equivocated on.
I've gone against Muslims too.
If I say to you, okay, but Doug, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I go against the New York Giants. Now I can't wake up tomorrow and say, hey, I'm going to go against LGBT people. And then when the LGBT defenders get outraged, go, well, hey, nobody gets upset when I go after the New York Giants. Doug, pretending to these are your tactics. And it's totally whataboutism. And it's irritating that you keep doing this.
But it's good whataboutism.
No,
it's effective whataboutism. Because I've just shown Jay that.
Yeah, and I've noticed through years of experience that when people say, trust me on this, like you can see it for yourself. When people start talking about whataboutism, they don't like what you're saying. When they talk about gaslighting, they don't like what you're saying. When they talk about dog whistling, they don't like what you're saying. In fact, all those terms, whataboutism, gaslighting, dog whistling, is a form of dog whistling in itself. It's saying, hey, you left-wing liberals or whatever, these are bad people. Hey, everyone, this is a bad person. Stay away. How is that not dog whistling? I say, be dog whistled, be gaslit, let these things happen, and then have conversations. Don't try to hide it underneath the rug.
Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. It is like me taking a pointed object and poking you in your side with it. And then when you go, don't do that. Me going, aha, look how smart I am because I've demonstrated that if I poke at you in a way that is deliberately harmful, you will in fact demonstrate the harm reaction. Sure, Doug, you can do that, but it just makes you a jerk who goes around hurting people in ways that are obvious. So you're not teaching anybody anything because it's obvious that when you say hurtful things to people deliberately...
See, I understand what Jay is saying here, but think about this. He's using the metaphor of a sharp object poking someone on the side. It doesn't matter what race you are, what culture you're from, what color your skin is, where you live. You take a knife. This is 99.9% true. There's some people with some weird neurological defects. But if you take a knife and poke them in the side, all those religions and biases, cultures are going to feel pain. But like I said earlier, you take two African Americans, they can say, I can say something and completely offend one African American and not the other. It's not the same. How words are received can impact people very differently, whereas a knife will cut all people no matter what. And if you're a normal human being where your neurons are working properly, all of them will feel pain. That's the difference. And why the analogy breaks down. But so I'm saying be the type of person who can get that figurative knife poked at you, figuratively, not literally, and learn to not let it hurt you. Because why go through life being hurt if you can take steps, and sometimes it takes years and decades, to becoming immune to that hurt? In a way, I'm like a vaccine. Oh, this will tick them off. Why are you anti-vax, Doug? I'm giving you a vaccine. I'm offering you a vaccine that if you take me in small doses, that over a course of years, you will become numb to the pain of the words I'm saying. And it won't bother you, and it will make you more open to having productive dialogues. Don't be anti-vax, Doug. Or the Doug anti-vax. Whatever. I don't know. I like that. That was good.
Honestly, my problem isn't with you. Really, the whole episode is my one black friend. We're trying to get him caught up to the drama, so hopefully he can see what the rest of us see, which is that this thing...
Oh, yeah, okay. This is what's this called? This is the whole in-group thing. Jay is so passionate that what I'm doing is bad. He needs other people to agree with him and say, we got to, as a community, That's one of Jay's favorite words, community. As a community, we need to get rid of Doug. Like, listen.
Honestly, my problem isn't with you. Really, the whole episode is my one black friend. We're trying to get him caught up to the drama. So hopefully he can see what the rest of us see, which is that this thing Doug's been doing and hinting at, and we've seen this pattern with him going into the alt-right playbook is...
Yeah. Do I do that? Like, maybe I need some self-reflection. Do I say, hey, everybody, we need to... I hope you see what I see so we can disenfranchise this guy, this person. We got to cast them out. What, in my opinion, what Jay is doing here, he has left Christianity and he has substituted a new religion for the old one, where there's a membership, there's rules and guidelines, and if you don't follow those rules and guidelines, you're ostracized from the membership, from the community. How is that not like religion?
Actually who he is.
Can I respond
he does
at
this
some
because he
point?
thinks it's fun. He wants to trigger us. He wants to upset us, and he'll say it in his own words. Go ahead, Doug.
Okay.
Then let him do that here.
Yeah. So when I get your point, I'm hurting people. It's like poking them on the side. But then when I ask, well, I do the same thing with Christians, you say, well, that's not true. But it doesn't matter if it's true or not. These are real feelings from real people who believe it's true. And then you ask, but they're not a, how did you phrase it?
My argument wasn't the feelings, Doug. And you keep misrepresenting it. Yes.
Okay. Let's say your argument's something else, but you were talking about poking people, prodding people.
Well, now we're wasting our time because you're responding to something that is not the subject.
Okay,
which is,
hold on.
Because here's what he's seriously doing. If you know, here's what he's really doing. I brought up something. He brought up a distraction. I tried to correct it and get him back on course. And now he's going to say, okay, well, let's say that you're not saying that, but let me respond to the distraction anyway.
Okay,
Total apologetics. But go ahead, Doug. Go.
He started to use your poking at the side example.
Yeah, I'm just...
And you blocked him.
Just like I do with Christians, I've repeated back what you said. You said a lot of things, so it's difficult. But you mentioned that things like purposely hurting people, yes. You mentioned poking people, yes. Why are you doing this, Doug? Right? Things, this type of rhetoric, right, Jay?
Correct.
Did you? Yes.
Correct.
You just admitted that this is the things you've said to me that I think you have a problem with. You're basically saying...
I'm treating Jay just like I would treat any theist. I'm repeating back what he said, and he agreed that he said those things.
And I shouldn't do those things. Is that correct, Jay? Walk into the trap.
I probably shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't, but it actually felt good to say that. Walk into the trap.
Go ahead and walk right in.
But I'm being consistent because I say this with theists all the time.
Why did I say that, though?
Because it hurts people.
Who?
Many people.
Wrong. Doug, what are my issues with saying things to hurt these people, Doug?
Because they're a protected class? Is that what you said?
Well, that's a very good way to describe it, actually. Yes. So number one, you're probably talking about a protected class. But if I say that, then you're going to say, isn't religion a protected class? And Doug, this is just racist nonsense. If somebody can't have a conversation with you about racism without you bringing no, seriously, this is a very... this is
the race card, Jay. That's what you're doing.
The race card. And let me tell you something about the race card. I'm going to tell you something very serious about life. This is a clue to surviving in America if you give a shit, which I already know you don't. But let me clue you in, and for anybody else in the audience that might be listening. When conversations of race come up and people try to gently tell you you're missing something, if you're white and those are people of color, shut the fuck up and listen to them. Because here's what you don't realize.
If you're white, shut the F up and listen to them. If you're white, shut the F up and listen to them. This is one of the main problems I find. Now, listen to my words very carefully. This is one of the problems I find with some followers, adherents, proponents of critical race theory. If you're not white, shut up.
Regardless of your experience, your facts, whatever you can look up on the internet and do your own research on, you have no clue what it's like to live as a person of color. And if you don't get that, then fine. But
I have no clue? Really?
I'm just telling you, the clue you need to take as a default is if you are not X, shut the up when X tries to tell you what their issues and concerns are. So what I am trying to tell you is when that happens, Doug, you cannot be the white guy who goes through life saying, oh, anytime something of race comes up, what I get to do is say, oh, well, y'all don't mind when I hurt other people's feelings about other things, because that is the very type of behavior that marginalizes our experience in the first place. Somebody's always making some excuse about why it's okay to throw us under the bus. And if you want to respond to my objections, clearly, Doug, I've repeated this, not just today, but on your channel and on Nitty's. The issue is you picked a weaponized time to throw people like me under the bus for no other reason than to...
See, Nathan, I disagree with you here. You say, Nathan says, Jay is right. What we need to put an emphasis on is the subjective experience of being a black person in contemporary America. Now, see, this is really going to bother people like Jay. I have lived experiences too. I do. I have lived experiences. My wife does, and my kids do. I'll tell you right now, my son and daughter would probably lean more towards my way of thinking than Jay. And Jay would say to my son, shut the F up. You're just saying this because you've been indoctrinated by your racist dad. What about their lived experience, though? Isn't their lived experience valid? No, it's not valid because they have a white father. Shut the F up, son of Pine Creek. What about my wife? Well, she doesn't count either. Shut the F up, wife of Pine Creek. What about her lived experience, Jay? What Jay is talking about is a subset of people of color, not people of color. I would love actually for him to hear what I just said. If you're going to use lived experience, use it consistently. And don't deny the lived experience of people of color that disagree with you.
Further hurt us during a critical time when we needed your help. Go ahead, my one black friend.
Pine Creek.
Yeah.
The last, say, 20 seconds of what he just said.
Yeah.
Were you intentionally trying to do what he just said? You're looking to hurt a group of marginalized people.
No, if you look at the second video I made, it was about Democrats. I was trying to hurt Democrats.
Okay.
So, he made it about skin color. Do not lie on my show. Don't lie on my show.
Pocket Locker, please.
He went out of his way to make it about skin color.
No, Jay, listen to me. Listen to me. In that video, race is never brought up. Race was brought up when I started talking to Doug Dean. You're right. Race was brought up there. But the reason it was brought up there because I was trying to point it to Democrats.
Okay.
Because most African Americans vote for Democrats in those democratic cities.
And by the way, I got some pushback on Nick Nadimus's channel. Shout out to him. On the reason why I brought up skin color is because I was saying that if I was to guess in those neighborhoods who they vote for, Biden or Trump, it would be Biden because most of them are African Americans. And we know, we have the data. You look at the exit polling that I said 90% on my live stream, but it's actually 87%. 87% of the exit polls, and they use black, not African American, are black people vote for Biden in the 2020 election. 87%. Look it up, CNN. Look it up in anything you want.
Where you fucked up.
So
go ahead,
Creek,
my black friend.
Why is that bad?
Did you realize that when your video is steamed, most people don't have the understanding?
But I should say that Jade would not argue against that. Jay would say, I agree. I think he would say it's not about the facts. It's about that you said them. So whether it's 90%, 87%, I think this is not an issue for Jay. It's just that I should be quiet. Shh. Don't say 52% of black people commit the murders in the United States. Don't say that. Quiet. I think that's his view. But maybe he's right. Maybe some truths should be left unspoken. Like, let's say we knew 100% that there's no such thing as libertarian free will. Shh, don't say that. Don't say that because it weakens accountability, moral accountability. No, don't say that. We can't really even function as society if people start becoming fatalists and D. Barry, you think it's 60% now? Well, we'll know in the next exit poll in 2 years, right? But look it up. Exit polls, 87%.
Can be about black people. Did you realize that or no? You said Democrats. You're trying to, but a lot of black people are Democrats.
Yes.
Was it white Democrats? Were you trying to outrage white Democrats?
No, the video. Watch the video. There's only 2 things in the video. Have you seen it?
3 things.
Yes, counties and murder rates.
Yeah,
right?
Counties, murder. Sorry, I guess 3 things.
Cities, counties.
And who they voted for. That was it.
Can I handle?
Okay.
Can I answer his question? He did ask me a question. Can I answer? He asked me what was wrong with it. Can I answer his question?
Yeah. What's wrong? But
Okay, I'm
remind
going to
people
try to be clear.
I must say this. At some point, something really weird happened, and it's coming up soon, I think. I hope we get time to get there because I have to pick up my son. I just got to start these earlier. At some point, something happened to Jay, and he shifted, and he also became really nice to me. And I don't know what happened.
What is wrong with what? Remind me what is wrong
what
with
we're talking about is you're saying what is wrong if I brought up skin color. I only did it because I wanted to talk about Democrats. And I only want to talk about Democrats because I want to talk about how the Democratic cities are in, the cities with the highest murder rates are in Democratic counties. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And Jay did, to his credit, Jay did a great steel manning of me right there.
Correct? That's what you said, right? I only brought up skin color to make this point about the highest murder cities are in Democratic counties, correct? All right, cool. So here's the issue. We are living, and you have to know this. And if you don't, you need to right now admit that you don't know this, but I'm sure you know this. We are living in a time where people are trying to strip people of color of their rights, and they are doing so by weaponized attacks against the Democrats.
Weaponized attacks. Like, I don't know if he means verbally or actual weapons. Maybe both. I don't know.
And they use their political agenda, their culture war nonsense, like the other issues you keep bringing up.
Yeah, this sounds like more like via words.
Right? LGBT and abortion and class and all of this stuff. You keep touching on it. They are using those issues as cover. The right wing that you lean. You tell us all the time, I lean right, I lean conservative. Okay, well, right now,
all the right wing, half the right wing.
But the right wing playbook is the flavor of right wingness in America, Doug, is racism. So when you dog with
the problem here, though, if Jay's going to make this argument and say that right wing is race, they use racism, they're racists. If you're a supporter of some version of critical race theory, that's a so what comment. It's like, well, yeah, all white people are racist, right? I have on old videos of some supporters. I gotta be very careful how I word this. Some supporters of some version of critical race theory will say that all white people are racist. So to lump basically all white people together and call them all racist, really, if you call me a racist, it doesn't, you're hurting. You're not calling me special at all. Other than that, I have a 16,000K channel and talk about these things. Well, now it's down to a 176 subscriber channel because I'm moving everything here.
So hang on, listen to. I want to make sure I connect these dots for you, Doug. When you dog whistle to a racist agenda, right? Cool buzzwords. And then you deliberately draw out the connection to skin color, you have got to be aware that is that's the problem, Doug, is you're
so
okay? Like you can't be totally
So your advice to me would be not to bring up skin color?
Honestly, absolutely, Doug. It's America. What do you think is going on in 2023?
Like, is that a yes or no?
Yes, it's a yes. Don't bring up skin color ever.
Don't bring up skin color ever. Another truth not to talk about. People have different skin colors. I got 3 skin colors in my family alone. but don't talk about it, at least publicly.
Yes, true. Yes, correct. Yes.
You can call me Whitey, you white guy. You can do it.
Doug, here's what I'm saying to you.
Is that
Doug.
a yes?
It's a suggestion, Doug. I'm not telling you so hard and fast, but here's why I'm giving you a suggestion, Doug. I'm being honest.
I wish I could be inside the mind of my one black friend here. I bet you anything he's thinking, oh, Jay, you're stepping in it. You're falling into Pine Creek's traps.
Honest with you.
Oh, is that some black privilege?
Yes, in a sense, it's one of the few we have. Yes, Doug, this is true, right? It's like if it comes to gender issues, right?
Cameron Bennett asks, and I'll say this for the third time or fifth time or whatever. What was your point of bringing up skin color? My point was that 87% of black people in America voted for Biden in the 2020 election. That was my point. That's why I brought it up.
No, let's be honest with you, Doug.
I think there's a better way to discuss it.
There might be, and Doug, I'm not saying you can't, but you asked me. I'm making a suggestion. And what I'm saying is, Doug, here's certain things. There are very sensitive issues in our society. They're sensitive for a reason, right? Now, here's the thing. If you live those things, then people always welcome your voice because that is your lived experience. However,
people will welcome my voice if that's my lived experience? I live with my wife and my children, but they don't count because they're not the type of black you approve of or are talking about right now, right? Am I right? The type of black, I think, I'm guessing here, the type of black that Jay is talking about is of a certain African American type of race, of skin color, let's say. Like, my wife's not really black. Let's be fair, right? Jay? She's not really black. So if you were to ask her, well, have you experienced a lot of racism in the United States? If Jay asked my wife, and she says, well, I've gotten some looks, but really no. Well, I mean, but that's her lived experience, Jay. Actually, my son's in high school right now, and it's actually cool to be black in his high school. It's cool. You know why? Because he's not white. It's cool. But then when they have like practice debate sessions, and he came home the other day and told me that he kind of pushed back on some things. He didn't go into details, and basically some of them acted just like Jay. No, be quiet, blah, 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 how dare you, blah, 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 you just be quiet. What? You're denying my son's lived experience? It's my son who was the calm one and wanted to dialogue. And he said, I can't believe this. You guys better be nice to me because my son's going to be president someday. I'm kidding.
However, if you don't have that lived experience, we also are willing to hear your voice. But if your voice manifests in a way that is harmful rather than helpful, most of us then have a right to then tell you it would probably be better if you reconsider that opinion before furthering participation in this conversation, because as of right now, your participation is not helpful. That's what I'm trying to tell you, to be clear. Go ahead,
I want Doug to respond, and then I want to jump in with...
well, you haven't talked for a while. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay, wonderful. You have a unique household in the United States. Would your opinions change if your children came home disgusted by how someone had treated them? I don't give a crap what ethnicity that person was, but based on your children, their home situation, having a mother who's one ethnicity and a father who's a different ethnicity.
So you want me to answer that question? Or
please do, yeah.
Okay, so you start the question,
Actually, I got to correct my one black friend here. Well, never mind. I'll just let it run.
Opinion change.
Yes.
What is the opinion you're referring to?
Would your opinion about provoking the conversation and allowing it to lead a conversation that leads to race? For instance, Doug Dean, I believe you said the man's name was, and Pine Creek, forgive me, I haven't seen the whole interview with Doug Dean. I saw a small portion. Just like when you're on Nitty's channel, I saw a small portion, okay? I don't have the full context. Otherwise, I'd have better questions for you and for Pocket Locker. But knowing that the conversation can lead to an indictment of Black people as a group, right? Because people don't think, oh yeah, the murderers are the only ones wrong. They generalize, and I think this has been part of the sickness that has been going on in the world.
Okay, I'll answer your question. No, it wouldn't change. I would still have made that video.
So okay,
Doug,
so let's say,
okay.
well,
And I can tell you why too if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay, Pocket Locker, Pine Creek. You said you can tell me why. Please.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I do not live in the parts of the United States where murders like that.
Actually, my son kind of does look like Barack Obama. Yeah, I think it's okay to show this. This was at the Lion King concert. Can you see that? Hang on. That's out of focus. You see a Barack Obama in there? My daughter on the right, my wife in the back. That's fuzzy. Maybe I should get him to practice talking in the same cadence as Obama. Hello, welcome. My name is JD. I will be your president.
I live in a very good neighborhood. I have police officers as neighbors, literally 3 of them within a stone's throw, who know, or potentially could know, my children. So it's not like there's any threat, or I shouldn't say any, but the threat level is very low. So I totally get it that I, in that sense, live in a very privileged place, and some people don't.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't want
So that's my honest answer. Why it wouldn't bother me.
Well, my neighborhood might be a bit. I don't live in a gated community, but I have 2 neighbors that are. One's a sheriff's officer. One works for Santa Monica PD. 2 of my neighbors are firefighters. One of my neighbors is a national hero. But if I go down the block, I have more and more neighbors, people I actually know, who are law enforcement or retired law enforcement and firefighters. I'm surrounded by wonderful people.
Yeah, it sounds like my one black friend and I live in similar neighborhoods.
Right?
Yeah. So would you say that my video put you at risk in any way?
Your video doesn't put me at risk in any way, but what I want you to, I guess what I want you to understand is your
Actually, it does. I disagree. But
Pocket Locker, please. Well, I'm happy to have your comments, but just let me address what he's asking.
Getting annoyed with Jay.
We're having a conversation now, right? We're getting our thoughts out there, our motives.
I'm literally done. I just wanted to say I disagree, but go ahead. I'm done.
Fine. So your children are going to leave the house one day. They're going to go out there and maybe have families of their own, or go to school somewhere. Maybe I think one of them's old enough to already have started school. But they're going to leave the shelter of their neighborhood and step out into the real world. And the real world has people who are doing what you're doing, only their motivations are to get more people to join the Klan. Their motivations are to get more people to join other hate groups. And I don't care whether those groups have black people, white people, Latinos, or Asians in them, or whatever else is out there for ethnicities. They may not be so kind. They may be trying to turn people against your children and you and your wife. How do you address them?
How do I address them, meaning my wife and kids?
No, well, actually, that's a good question too. So how do you address the hate groups that will hate on your children and you?
Okay, yeah, I'll answer both. Which one do you want first?
Please, it's up to you.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
the hate groups, I would invite them on my channel.
Yeah, anybody who, especially with live streams, it's safer. But like if someone says, "I hate you so much that I want people like you dead," I actually want to talk to those people and get into their brain and ask why. Why do you want me dead? Well, because you married a black woman. Okay, can you tell me why that's bad? Well, it's because that's not the way God intended. Oh, and which God? And how do you know this God doesn't intend that? Like, can you imagine the great conversation you could have? This is why that, what's his name, Daryl Davis guy goes and talks to KKK members, and he's African American. You can have some wonderful conversations and dig and just pull the layers of the onion off and get into the deep reasons why.
And talk with them. Something I think Jay would really struggle to do.
Again, do I get to say I do it all the time? But go ahead.
Yeah, Nathan.
All the time, Doug.
Okay, I could be wrong. And then with my wife and kids, thanks. My wife. Speaking of which, my wife just handed me some water. Like we've lived in the United States for 20 some years, and to be honest, we've experienced as an interracial couple almost no racism.
True.
We live in Arizona.
True.
We've done a lot of traveling. The places that we've experienced the most racism, I would say, is Kentucky, and it was at a hog roast, but it basically was stares, and that's it.
Yeah, and I didn't say this here, but I need to add on to that. part of the reason why our lived experience, I say this because people on the left, as followers of CRT, like that, our lived experience of almost no racism in over 20 years of living here is partly because we're not looking for it. In other words, you can take an action that happens and view it as racism, or you could view it as something else. So it could be true that we've experienced more racism that we're giving credit for, but so what? We're not taking it as racism. So let's say a black guy says something mean to me, hey, whitey, or whatever, I don't know. I say, that's not racism. The guy just hates me. He thinks I'm a schmuck.
So now I'm just giving you my lived experience, as Jay would say.
Which is valuable.
Oh, is regular guy, the guy who came on my channel, he believes that? Great replacement theory? I didn't know that. Yeah, I'll have him back on. Regular guy, if you ever see this, come back on my channel. Let's talk.
Which is valuable.
Well, not that much, but it's valuable to me.
But actually, I do kind of believe in the great replacement theory. Like, I believe that black people and white people should have kids, and Asians and Native Americans should have kids, and East Indians and what. Let's just get everybody looking the same. Oh, then who do you blame for your problems then? If everybody looks the same for many generations, oh, that'd be a tragedy, right? No one left to blame. Then we'd find other things to blame, right? Okay, you're the same skin shade as me, but you got more money, so I'm going to blame you now.
In the real world, it's not that valuable.
But it is valuable, Doug, because within your lived experience, we know what you haven't seen. And maybe what you haven't seen influences you to do,
right.
I guess allows you there's a piece of their knowledge, pieces of knowledge that you don't have because maybe.
No, I have it, not a lived experience of it, though.
Okay, fair enough. And we can agree the lived experience is what? Is it more powerful or less
Yes,
powerful?
it's definitely more powerful. So I totally get where Jay's coming from. But although I'm not so sure Jay's experienced the lived experience part of that either.
I'll let Jay speak
like directly, because I know when you came on my channel, Jay, I asked you a little bit about your backstory, and I remember just a little bit of it. But
Doug, were you just okay? Let me. This is where you say you have the knowledge, but you speak as though you don't. There's no such thing as a black person in America who hasn't experienced racism. So get whatever notions of, but there are rich people, black people, famous black people who have wonderful lives. There's no such thing as black people who haven't experienced racism. Yeah, yes, I mean no such thing. So don't ever in your life. This is what I mean about certain.
That's categorically false. I guess maybe he's talking about the United States. Did he say United States? But anyhow.
It's not funny. This is what I mean about certain things. You got to get through your thick skull, right? Here's the deal. You may not feel what other people feel, but these are certain things that if you are too far outside the range of the normal response, people are going to literally think like there's absolutely something seriously wrong with you. So what I'm actually suggesting, Doug, is that you learn how to fake it better. You've just got to learn seriously with these things. Like you just can't. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what you?
Yeah. I'm saying yes. In my mind, I was thinking he's basically calling me like a serial killer. You know the HBO show, Showtime, Dexter, serial killer, and he was taught a code on how to fake not being a serial killer or whatever. And I'm agreeing with Jay here that yes, sometimes we have to learn how to fake it. Now watch what I say here.
Do you want? Yeah, seriously.
Now take your own advice, Jay.
Nope.
When you get emotional, try to fake it.
Nope.
No.
Works for you? I mean, for me, but not you?
Yes.
Yeah. It works for me, but not you. Yes. Because I'm special. Don't you know? I'm special. Yeah.
Yes, it works to say that.
You see the double standard you have?
It's not a double standard. Because you have to remember the foundation starts from, I am starting from a place where I'm not doing anything other than responding rationally to an attack on people like me. What you're then doing is saying, well, oh, no, I'll do the same thing. No, again, Doug, you are out of bounds. And so like any other behavior where people are out of bounds and we need them to understand that there are social consequences for stepping that far out of
What's
bounds.
the most racist thing that's ever happened to you?
Then tell them, Doug, I grew up as the only black kid in an all-white school. And if you don't know what that means, then...
So it sounds like Jay was raised white? Did I hear that right? Oh, I'm just being petty now, right? I don't know. Were you adopted? Are you a real African American, Jay? See, that's what I could say, right? Maybe you're not in on the team you think you are. He's going to be really mad if he hears that. But he's the guy who's bringing up lived experiences and so forth. You weren't raised in a school where I mean, there were real guns at school and gangs and stuff. Were you?
Doug, that is an inappropriate.
What's the most racist thing that's happened to you?
This is, can I touch your hair?
Pocket locker.
Can I touch your hair? I'm really interested.
Answer him.
No.
Oh, I'm glad he mentioned the hair part. Can I touch your hair? Because when I was a kid, I went, and I still remember this vividly, I had white hair, and I went to Mexico with my family. And I got people all the time asking, can I touch your hair? Can I touch your hair? I was almost mobbed by a group of Mexican ladies. My lived experience, Jay.
What you do when you answer him,
question.
When you answer him,
you become awful question.
If you don't answer the question,
personal attack.
It makes you hard to be relatable.
Scumbag.
I'm trying to tell you,
Doug, I don't even know.
He took huge offense for me asking him what was the worst thing that's happened to him that he attributes to racism. Like, why is that a bad question? Why is that offensive? Why is that an attack? To ask an African American, what's the worst thing that's happened to you that you view as racism? Maybe someone in the chat can explain it to me. Why is that bad to ask that question?
What's the period of time? You want growing up? You want recently?
I want your whole life. What's the worst thing that's happened to you that you think is racism?
What about all the threats to take my life because I'm black?
Had people threaten your life?
Yes. Even as a child, Doug. As a child. People threatened me with gun violence as a child.
My BS detector is flicking on and off here. I don't know. As a child, how old? Like, what, a 6-year-old threatened your life? I mean, 8-year-old? What are we talking about here?
Just over girls. Because they didn't want to.
Girls?
They don't want to be the family where their daughter is dating the black kid, right? When you're the only black kid and they don't want you dating, right? So so now you get cornered a lot in the bathroom, like, oh, we're gonna jump you, or you get threatened to get beat up. But sometimes you get this straight, oh, my dad wants me to let you know that he keeps a 357 Magnum by his bedside.
So as a kid, your life was threatened
all the time, Doug. I just told you. You asked me the question, I answered it. Now, we can talk about recently how on YouTube people think it's cool to call into my show and then just drop the N-bomb literally on their way out. They'll just say...
Yeah, but I think Jay says the N-word many, many times, right? So this is that part of double standard.
Or nigger a bunch of times, or they'll just call in and just literally yell it to my face repetitively. People have seen it on this channel.
Have you ever been beat up for being black?
No, but that's only because I've mostly been able to talk my way out of it. But certainly people have put me in a situation many a time where they implied that is what they intended to do. Unfortunately, they usually did it with people I was able to have a little bit of sway on that they didn't count on.
So would it be fair to say that every form of racism that you've encountered have been words?
No, because I've been subject to some really fucked up shit with, I didn't even talk about the police shit I've dealt with, like with the criminal justice system. So I don't know. There's that, like, I've had pretty much police make me fear for my life. And have some really, matter of fact, I've even had shit that happened so bad with cops that the judge said to my parents to their face, that was the worst behavior I've ever seen on behalf of this police department.
Yeah, see, and Jay, I'm in your corner on this. Like, if a police...
No.
Yeah, Cameron, good suggestion. I wonder how Doug would feel if he lived in the South. It'd be a fun experiment to actually move to the South, my family, and see how my perspective would change. Because like I said, I visited and traveled through. From Canada, we went through Ohio and then Kentucky, and what's it, Tennessee, and then we went a little bit into Arkansas, and then back up towards Canada. But I'm telling you the truth. The only thing we experienced there was just, and we went through like not just interstate, we went through like small town Tennessee, small town Kentucky. We went to restaurants, like diners, small places. Maybe it's because we're Canadian and we are so naive. I view it this way. We were so naive that nothing bothered us. And nothing happened to us. Why would anything happen to us? We're just minding our own business. But maybe you think that it's lucky we came out of there alive, is the impression I get from some people.
Did something
You're
like
absolutely not. You know why you're not? Here's why you're not. Okay, I'll hear him out. Go ahead.
Please.
I don't want that sort of thing happening to you either. How can I not be on the same team as you when I say that?
Here's why. Because then what needs to happen is about your behavior. You may want to be on my side about that. But when the day before the election, you wake up and you say, hey, it's the day before the election. Let me, again, and you're going to have to accept that this is how people are going to see this. Let me dog whistle to the ultra racist conservative.
I still don't get that term dog whistle. Like why people like Jay think that's powerful is like, I think the word dog whistle is a dog whistle to liberals saying avoid this person. Like, it'd be really fun if I just started calling African Americans dog whistlers, right? Well, that would trigger them.
Conservative right, because I think going into
I don't get it.
Terms, it'd be a great idea to trigger the left, just like the ultra racist conservatives wake up every single day trying everything under their power to trigger and hurt the left, instead of saying, hey, it's the day before the election. Let's make sure we protect black people's right to vote. Let's make sure we protect and vote for those people who are going to push the policies that are helpful to our
I don't mean to be rude, but we've
color.
heard this like 10 times already. So
that's what it takes. You got to act like you're on our team, Doug. You got to play for our team.
See, here's the religion part. Like, even if you lean left and you agree with Jay more than me, like, really listen to this. This is what I was saying about replacing one religion with another. Listen very carefully.
Helpful to our
I don't mean to be rude, but we've
color.
heard this like 10 times already. So
that's what it takes. You got to act like you're on our team, Doug. You got to play for our team.
Like yes,
you got to score points for our team, because when you score points for the other yes, Doug, you just said you're on my side.
Okay, this is where there's a fundamental difference.
You literally said you're on my side, and then when I said team, you critique me. So this is what I'm saying. If you're on my yes, Doug, this issue is this is the issue. Right. You literally
there's many issues. This is what I'm trying to, and I think even my one black friend is on my side.
I don't think he is. He's just taking a gentler approach.
We need to minimize the us versus them, the team, my team, your team.
You just said my side. See what you do?
I'm being facetious.
And so am I. But then so it's
you see how this just evolved so quickly?
It's a figure of speech. But when you say
you can agree with me as a person who leans right, can agree with things with people who lean left and disagree on other things. Like, what's so complicated about this? And this whole idea of team, like who? Well, I think it's coming up here.
And then you got to go.
Well, no, seriously, we've been going a while, and I'll give you reasons why I have to leave. The Arizona
Cardinals
it doesn't
matter
playing,
about that. The
Arizona Cardinals are playing. I would like to watch it before I play poker in about an hour and a half. So I'm not just ally.
Especially when
ally to who?
Oh.
To accept you as an ally, you have to behave like one.
As an ally.
Especially when
ally to who?
Yeah, if you want to be a true Christian, you got to behave like one.
Doug,
to be very specific.
Let me be very specific. If you said you do not want me to experience threats of violence due to the color of my skin, then you need to behave in a way that shows your commitment to creating a world where people like me under threat of violence.
Yeah, if you want to be on my side and not have cops treat me this way, then you need to be on my team. Okay, does that mean I have to support universal health care? Yes or no? Does that mean I have to support public education, federal public dollars? Does that mean I have to be against pro choice or the voucher system? Like, make me a list, Jay. Name me all the political issues. There's hundreds of them. What qualifies as being on your team? Because, there's systemic racism, right? And so therefore things like healthcare and education, they're huge. So if you're a Democrat and you're against, let's say, federal dollars, or if you're for school vouchers, does that mean you're off they're off your team?
Violence are not under threat of violence.
Can you make me a list of behaviors I should do and follow?
Yes, here's what you do.
No, codify it for me, please.
When you wake up and
then
you
we can
say,
worship it together.
Here's what you do. When you wake up in the morning and you think about making a video the day before an election, what you think about is, are there any marginalized groups that this content might harm?
Okay.
And hang on. If the answer to that question is yes, then really consider not making that content that day.
Okay.
Doug Dean says Christianity is known for advancing us versus them attitudes. Yeah, those who walk in light and those who walk in darkness. And I would argue that people like Jay are doing the same thing, us versus them. Those who have the lived experience that we have and are a vulnerable class, and those who don't. And if you don't, shut up. If you do, then we'll listen to you on certain issues, certain things, right? When you're in the church.
To ask you this, and you just remind me of it. If I make a video just before Ramadan that really disparages and shows Islam to be like false and ridiculous, and it hurts a black Muslim, what say you? Did I do a good thing or bad thing?
I don't know. I'm not a black Muslim.
Okay, why did he say, I don't know there? I'm not a black Muslim. But he's black. Vulnerable class, right? Protected class, however you phrased it. I'm hurting the feelings of a Muslim who happens to be black. Why is that? Why does he say, isn't that a definite yes? Yes, that's bad, Doug. You're hurting their feelings. Shouldn't be, I don't know. It should be, yeah, it's bad.
I would consider it very strongly. Yeah, you got to consider the tone of it. I mean, Doug, here's the thing. Intentions matter. And what my one black friend said was very clear. He said, if your intention is so that we sit down and have the conversation, and yes, we're having the conversation, but we're having the conversation because we're YouTubers. And so we, have to make sure that the thing you did is the difference in whether or not we would truly have the conversation, which I think it's pretty clear most of us are saying it's not. But the other thing is, you have to consider what your intent was. And when you tell people, my intent was to trigger you, my intent was to set people off, my intent was to hurt people's feelings, that is not considered something that we're going to receive as well, because it isn't true that your intent was to help us build peace and understanding and to help promote a peaceful conversation. And if it was, why not choose a peaceful way to do it?
Is it okay to provoke and trigger a white racist?
Is it okay to provoke and trigger?
Like if I made a video that made Trump supporters look really stupid and I really triggered them,
honestly,
is that okay?
I would say if you made it just to trigger and hurt them, it's probably not that constructive.
Yeah, I question that. I have a feeling if I made a video triggering Trump voters, Jay would have no problem with that. Because they're bad people. They're hurting our community. Go get them, Doug. Right?
Okay. Well, you're being consistent then.
I'll say Pine Creek. I think, again, it's clear. I think you're missing an opportunity. If you really want to deliver a message that is powerful, you do make it even-handed. Sort of like at the end of Romeo and Juliet when the sheriff says, all are punished.
I did. You haven't seen the videos
wait
yet.
a minute. Now, to be fair to you, you did tell me that. In this conversation, you made other videos that I haven't seen. So and my eyeballs open.
And I need to let you know that I didn't make them. I set out a community post saying, hey, I want to trigger the other side now.
Is that on Twitter by chance?
No, it's on my YouTube channel, on the community page. I put out a post, and then I said, give me ideas, but it has to be the same way I triggered the Democrats. So it has to be like within a 2-minute time frame for like whatever. And so I got a whole bunch of ideas. I took 2 of them, which I thought were the best. It was shaming the Republicans who are more specifically the evangelical Christian Republicans and showing that their porn usage is high in their state. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was, what was the other one? Oh, I showed that the popular vote, if we use the popular vote, there'd be no...
Charles B says, I know I'm running out of time here, but he says, again, the distinction is not triggering or offending. It is being racist. Okay, now this, I'm going to trigger you a little bit, Charles B. Can you articulate for me in the live stream chat here, what is wrong with being racist? Can you articulate, can you type in 1 or 2 sentences? Why is being racist wrong? Let's see if you can do it.
No Republican presidents except for one. Like that one is really powerful. In the last 20 years, there'd be only one Republican president if we use the popular vote. Like that has to send shivers up a lot of people on the right side. Like what's going on here? We're not consistently getting votes. Well, so I've done my part, in my opinion.
You'd hope
that's not how this works.
You'd hope that all the groups, whatever group they're in, look at their ideology. But a gay or a trans person, it's about their biology, not their ideology. That's why they get persecuted, because their biology.
Right. But remember, my whole thing started with Democrats. I was trying to trigger the left. So I was being equal, now triggering the right.
Right. Okay.
Doug, here's the thing. I would hope you can take this seriously. As a critical thinker, sometimes it's all right. Sometimes it might be the case that being critical of both sides is not the critical position, in fact.
Okay, and Charles B. answered the question. So the question is, can he articulate for me why is being racist bad? And he said, being racist leads directly to social consequences of discrimination and harm to outgroups. Okay, so here's a situation. A person, let's say a white person, says something X, we'll just call it X, to J and to my wife who are standing side by side. Jay takes huge offense, my wife doesn't. Question. Is it racist? Because we have a situation where there's harm done to Jay, but not my wife. So here's your options. Is it racist in both cases for both listeners? One of the cases or none of the cases? You see the problem here? If racism does not cause harm, let's say you utter a sentence that you, Charles B., would say is racist. It's a sentence that's being uttered and it causes zero harm. Let's say this is a hypothetical thought experiment. It sounds racist, but it actually has caused zero harm. Is it still racist? Now, if you say yes, it's still racist, then really the harm issue is not the sole factor. In other words, something could be racist and actually be good, right? Because it's not causing harm, no harm. It might even be good. So what you view as a racist comment, a sentence, could actually make a person's life better. So you got to be very careful here if you answer yes to that question.
Maybe, right?
I would say like on very specialized or specific things, you're right. But in the United States, it's a horrible political system where you basically only have two parties, right? And so
sure.
It would be much better if the United States was more like Canada or other countries where you had like 6, 7, 8 really competing.
Yeah, and before I go, like some would view what do you call it? When people get in with lower grades, affirmative action as a form of racism, but that actually helps people. So under some people's definition, well, that's not racism. That's just making up for past historical problems, but that's not racism. So they necessarily define racism as something bad. But if with affirmative action based on skin color, that's pretty close to a lot of definitions of racism for a lot of people. But since it's done no harm, even though it might, let's say to Asians who have higher scores and are denied entry, it's okay. Doesn't do harm to a protected class of people or whatever. Like these are very interesting conversations. And I don't know the answers to all these things, but it's it leads people to start thinking, like when you just hear something, you say, oh, that's racist. And I ask, well, so what? Like where's the harm? Well, it hurt this person, but it didn't hurt that person. So is it racist to them and not racist to that person? It's really weird, right? When you start to think about it.
Parties, but we don't have that. So in the United States, it's kind of stupid, but that's just the way it is. We got left and we got right, and basically.
Oh yeah, I'm against. I'm not out. I'm against affirmative action. I understand why it's there, but like my own kids. Like here's another question. There's so much fun things to talk about, and I'm running out of time. Does my son and daughter need affirmative action? Do they? I bet you if we were to poll people in the United States, is my children, do they lean white or black? I'd say most people in the United States say, oh, your children lean black because they have about the same skin shade as Barack Obama. Okay, do they need affirmative action? Huh? They do? Really? The privileged home, privileged gated community, professional father. Oh, really? Well, maybe they don't. Right? There's not a trace. I think this is true. There's not a trace of slavery in my wife's family tree. Well, not American slavery. I think that's true. Do they need affirmative action? I tell you, it gets complicated very quickly.
Distinction in between. Like, I don't know, Jay, do you make a distinction between someone who's like you on the left versus like, I don't know, a more conservative? Like there's conservative Democrats.
Oh, Jamie, thank you. 3 or 4 years ago, when you mentioned this stuff in a video, it really bothered me. I thought you shouldn't talk about it. Now I'm on your side. Whew, I got a shiver. I was told never say ethnic class with the word the in front of it. But how did the Jews say it? Verklempt? I'm feeling verklempt.
Do you make that distinction? Are they on your team?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part? You said,
is a conservative Democrat on your team?
I often say no, not really. Sometimes I think they're worse, right? Because I often make the point that if you look at, say, primaries.
By the way,
right,
I think at this point, something changed in Jay in the conversation because he all of a sudden became nice to me. And I don't know what happened.
Which are so critical in the states as to who we actually have the opportunity to elect, right? You can't say that it's the Republicans or the Trumptons or whatever that are the reasons that we don't have the opportunity to elect more liberal candidates. That actually, by definition,
so it's really the conservative
Democrats, right, who are, in my opinion, just as big of, or if not even a bigger roadblock to, because I actually think what would happen is if they did that, they would find that most people vote for those policies. So, for instance, if they actually,
but a progressive Republican. What about I know
I'm with it. I sent Liz Cheney money.
Okay, so the issue really isn't Democrat or Republican for you. It's more the liberal conservative thing.
No. Well, in some sense, I think it plays that out, and that's only because, to be honest, I don't care about the political spectrum.
Hey, Nathan, I know what you're saying here, but I do think Jay represents. Well, I can tell you on my channel of my viewers, based on the amount of subs who have unsubscribed, Jay represented at least, how many people unsubscribed? I think it was 60, 80. It wasn't quite 100. So there's like 80 people in my channel, and I got a small channel. And for everyone who didn't subscribe or unsubscribe, there's more, right? Like Jay represents a huge swath of people.
It so happens that in this country, I had to be honest about the fact that so many of the way I feel makes it such that I have to, in effect, vote Democrat because I'm basically in a forced choice situation where they're just more up my alley on most of the important issues. But I do so begrudgingly, right? So, I agree with you about the spectrum being a huge difference. But I want to make sure before you guys do say thank you for coming on. I actually do appreciate it, Doug.
No problem. So, I'm not scared.
Yeah.
And you guys are both welcome to come on my channel too in the future. Like no hard feelings about anything.
Yeah. Doug, and actually, I think I hope you understand, Doug. I feel very passionate about this because it is that I identify with different groups than you do, and I feel like you've recognized that. So
see what happened there. What happened? Because this ended superbly. And I don't think I was the cause of it. I didn't do anything or say anything nicer than usual or worse. I don't know. Something changed in Jay in the last 5 minutes where he made a choice. He made a choice to have this end well, and it did. And Jay, thank you. Thank you for doing that. It was amazing. I actually, this could be evidence of God existing. That type of going from, my life was transformed. It's like going from hostility, butting up heads, you're an a-hole, shut up, to thanks, Doug, for coming on. You're welcome on my show again. Like, isn't this a kumbaya moment? And I can't pinpoint what happened. Praise the Lord. Okay, guys, I'm very sorry to tease you. I'm sorry to tease you and taunt you by just leaving now, but I really have to pick up my son because he's done right now in 1 minute. He's done, and it's a 7-minute drive, so I'm going to be late. And Gur, congratulations, you're a mod. You earned it with the smiles you put on my face over the years, at least a year. Take care, guys. I know this channel's not for everyone, and I appreciate the people who disagree with me for being here and being polite. I really do. For the most part, I've been watching the live stream chat. Even you, Ron. Is it Ron or John? What's your name? Ron Johnson. Thank you. I know you disagree with me strongly, but you were actually a good boy in my live stream, I think. Maybe I'll watch it back and find something. Take care, guys, and maybe every Tuesday we'll do this and we'll get people on. Take care.